Greetings and welcome to Season 2 of the Loaded Cart Podcast. Join us as we go on a magical journey through the craziness that is video games and the gaming industry. In this week's episode, we ask the question, have AAA studios lost touch with their fans? You guys all have phones, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome once again to the Loaded Cart Podcast. It's time once again to talk about AAA studios. Have they gone tone deaf? Have they lost touch with us? Let's talk about it. I am Paul of What's Paul Playing Today, and with me as always is Dan, otherwise known as Chop the Viking. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty fantastic. It's been a week, and this is just to pull the curtain back a little bit. We're recording this like a week from Thanksgiving, so
yeah, I'm about to go do a whole butt ton of traveling.
I will honestly tell you that next week has been exhausting.
Yeah, and the week after that.
Yeah. I did get promoted at work, so I've been working harder than an ugly stripper. Come on, that was good. No?
You and the dad jokes today.
How is that a dad joke? Where's the dad joke? I'm sorry, an ugly stripper has to work harder for their money. That's just a fact.
Or just, more alcohol.
I mean, is that not the same thing?
I guess.
Right. So, what you been playing?
So weirdly, and this kind of will stem a little bit into a topic we talk about in a little bit. I've been playing Destiny 2 because Activision gave it away.
Yeah, I mean, here you go. I've been playing it as well. Like, I think we're around the same area in like the third world. Yeah, and honestly, I've been playing it as well because, well, okay. Caveat this: I played a good chunk of the first Destiny. It was a gift from the awesome Dan. That is not this Dan, the one I usually play from with 7 Days to Die, and it was okay. That was back when Peter Dinklage was still the Ghost, and he was phoning in the performance before Nolan North took over, and I just kind of like, this is a game.
Yeah.
Destiny 2, however, has been pretty darn fun. Nolan North continues to be the Ghost, but there's also Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres, Lance. God, I can't remember his name. Lance Reddick. Just an all-star cast of amazing voice actors and general, just amazing actors have been in it, and I was just bowled over by how great the cinematics have been and how great the voice acting has been. So I'm on board. I'll keep playing. Like, I'm not disliking my experience with it. I didn't dislike Destiny 1, but I was just bored with it. And I'm not bored of this one yet.
Yeah. Let's see if this is the guy I think it is. Oh, that actually wasn't the guy I thought it was. Okay. Lance Reddick. I was thinking like that guy who did that voice, like I could picture him in my head, and it wasn't actually this guy, but that makes it actually a little funnier that it is this Lance
Were you thinking of Keith David?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Lance Reddick is the, if you guys aren't familiar out there, Fringe. He was the director of the FBI. He's been in pretty much everything. He's got a very distinctive voice. Honestly, similar to Keith David, but less gravelly.
If I'm not wrong here, I also believe he was in Oz.
Yes, he was.
Because
60% sure.
People in Oz have been in literally everything else. He was also in The Wire, but
yeah, he was a captain in The Wire, wasn't he?
He was Desmond Mobay in Oz.
Oh, and he was also the hotel manager, the front desk manager in John Wick.
Yes.
He's just awesome. I huge respect for Lance Reddick.
Yeah, but it always makes me amused because there's this weird thing that I've noticed, especially in Hollywood, is that the people who were in Oz have like been in everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the like there's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or
Yes, I
whatever,
was just about to mention that.
and there's like 1 or 2 degrees of separation of anything you've ever seen and the HBO series Oz.
I mean, Ernie Hudson, J.K. Simmons, Lee Tergesen, Dean Winters, Terry Kinney, Rita Moreno, Harold Perrineau. You can find anyone who's been in Oz, and they've either been in something that another Oz person has been in, or been in whatever you've been watching.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And,
Like
it's because it was like the first HBO original series, and it went
yeah,
on for so long. It yeah, it's just funny to see like how they're everywhere, like
yep.
including current HBO series and stuff like Westworld.
hmm I mean, there's also Dean Winters is in those commercials where I'm an over emotional teenage girl. You know those commercials with
Yeah,
the auto insurance.
and so is J.K.
Yeah, J.K.
Simmons.
Simmons.
He's Farmer's guy.
Yep, and I think those are I can't remember which company does those, but everyone knows those commercials.
Yeah. Allstate, I think.
I think it's Allstate. Yeah. Anyway, we've completely gone off on a tangent here, but yes, both been playing Destiny 2.
We've been playing Destiny 2 because it was free. And,
yeah, I mean, why not?
And it's one of those things, like, I was curious about Destiny. Like, I like the idea of Destiny, like the first person shooter MMO quasi. Basically, if Borderlands was an MMO, is what Destiny always felt like a little bit, except with raids ish.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would have played the first one if it ever came out on PC. And since it didn't, I was like, oh, well, I'll wait for the second one to come out for PC because it was going to, but it was like a month or 2 delayed from the console launch. So
we'll
it was
get to
okay.
that later.
Well, I get to wait for a couple of months, and then it's like, all right, cool. Well, I'm gonna wait, and I'll see what the response is from the people who like hardcore played Destiny 1, and it was not very good at launch. They were like, you just gave us the same game we just had before, but less of it and more microtransactions. And I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm gonna avoid that for a while.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. Although, honestly, what I've played so far, I haven't even found how to do microtransactions. So I don't know if they've been removed or if that is just a feature that I haven't unlocked yet, I guess.
Definitely haven't been removed, but it's that has to do with the bright Ingrams or whatever, which I don't think we've even gotten them in the game or whatever. I don't know.
Right, but, right.
Yeah, you basically buy bright Ingrams, I think, and random loot. I think. I don't know. I haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah, I'm on the same clueless boat that we both are right now.
Yeah. And then the other game that I've been playing is a weird mobile game that's called Golf Battle, which
what?
It's okay. So, like the Angry Birds mechanic where you kind of pull back and then shoot, like let go and it shoots. So imagine a putt-putt game that kind of uses that mechanic where you kind of aim and then pull back and let go and it hits the ball or whatever. So it's this putt-putt game, but there are 2 different game modes and they're all multiplayer. And one of them is the standard match kind of game where you try to finish the hole in as few hits as possible. And the other one is called like battle mode or something, and it's just speed. It's whoever can get through the 3 or 4 holes as quickly as possible, no matter how many shots it takes you. It's just how fast you can do it, not how efficiently you do it. So it's all right. Interesting. Like it's because it's like 6 people all playing at the same time and just golf balls flying everywhere, and it's kind of funny.
That sounds interesting. I mean,
it's been
kind of curious.
Yeah, it's been just fun to just goof around with, sitting on the couch or whatever periodically.
Nice.
So what have you been playing? Because I know you've been playing a lot more than Destiny 2 and not a crazy mobile game.
The obvious being Overwatch, since I stream that daily from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Standard Time.
Hint, hint.
Yes. Also, Red Dead Redemption 2. Phenomenal game. I have had nothing but good times with it so far. Just the ridiculousness that has been going around. I'm sure if you have heard of anything on the internet or at all on Reddit, you've seen some of the GIFs that have gone around of people just launching bears at other people, so to speak. There's one that I've been looking at that essentially your character Arthur is hunting with one of the other outlaws that he's with, and they're hunting a bear, and he just steps up, shoots his gun in the air, runs the fuck away the other way, and the bear attacks the guy he was with. So much fun has been had in that game. Also, SpiderMan, the 2018 most recent release on PlayStation 4. Honestly, that might be worth it alone to get a PlayStation 4.
Nice.
That's how amazing that game has been.
Yeah, I've heard really, really good things about Spider-Man.
It's. Did you ever play the GameCube one, Spider-Man 2, back in the day? And the web swing mechanics?
Yes.
They have somehow improved on those.
Nice.
And they are, it's just so tight, so incredibly just, it just feels intuitive and brilliant. Like they did so much great work with this game. The combat is a little bit, I hesitate to say repetitive because you can do so much with it, but it feels like it was not the main focus of it. It feels like that the story is just fantastic. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's just awesome.
The couple of cool things that I've heard about it. Well, one is like the combat system is a little like Arkham Asylum, like that Batman style.
Similar, yeah, it's similar, but it's a little bit of a lighter combat style. It's more arcadey than Arkham Asylum, the Batman games have been.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things about it is that Spider-Man actually never kills anyone.
I mean,
like
you never see him kill anyone, but you can knock people off of buildings.
If you look, they get webbed to the side of the building.
Huh.
Like
I don't see. I get it, but I don't see how that's possible with the way some of the stuff happens that I've been playing it. Like I get it, and yes, I agree that it's very probable that he's never killed anybody, and very probable that the game doesn't allow you to kill anybody. But I don't see how it's possible with some of the moves that I pulled off of him webbing the building.
Yeah. But the idea is that like even if you knock someone off the edge of the building, they're still safe. He webs them and they kind of bloop to the side of the building after they go flying over the edge. So question about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Shoot.
How many times have you accidentally punched your horse?
Never. Surprisingly, never. I don't know if that's a thing, but I've seen what happens when you do because the horse kicks you in the fucking neck. Pardon my language.
Oh, it's hilarious. I've seen so many things of like people running up and like hitting the wrong button,
just destroying.
The horse, and the horse just like, they punch the horse in the face, and the horse just turns around and kicks them right upside the head.
Yeah, see, I don't see how you could possibly do that because it's the same controls as GTA. You press the Y button, you get on the horse. Like, you have to hit the right trigger to punch him.
Unless they remap their controls,
I don't think that's possible. I haven't found a way to do that yet. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but I haven't found a way.
Yeah.
Oh, also, you ever play RuneScape back in the day?
I have not.
There is an iPhone and Android app of old school RuneScape, and I've been playing that as well.
Yeah,
I think it's a surprising amount of fun.
Old school RuneScape is a huge thing. It actually has ridiculous viewer numbers on Twitch, which is scary.
That's surprising. It's also free.
Yes, but yeah, they made a client for iOS and Android, which is kind of awesome.
It's also PC and Mac.
And the other one that's similar to that is Stardew Valley's out on iOS now, which is crazy. I still haven't picked it up yet, but it's like $7 or $8. So like,
you might as well at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm going to at some point, but just haven't had a chance yet.
I have yet to experience the multiplayer, but I really want to. I'd love to do a stream of that at some point. I just haven't had time. Like, I've been busy with Overwatch. I've been busy with D&D on Friday nights, also streamed. I've been just honestly busy. That's really it for what I've been playing. You been playing anything else?
No.
Aside from fatherhood?
Fatherhood is basically it. I'm actually trying to find a name of a game that you reminded me of. Okay, yes. So one of the games that I backed on Kickstarter a while ago is a game called Energy Hook.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yes. So Energy Hook It's a, I don't know if it's still quasi open world, but it's like a quasi open world game, but it's literally made by the guy who created the web slinging mechanics in Spider-Man 2. And
I
it
remember talking about
uses
this.
the web slinging mechanics of Spider-Man 2 and a rocket jetpack.
So if you guys recall, you might not, but back in our E3 of like 2017, we actually talked about this because it was the first premiere of the 2018 Spider-Man game,
Yeah.
and we were like, I remember you bringing up Energy Hook and just having a gushing session about that because Spider-Man 2 was just freaking incredible.
So basically you do parkour and crazy stunts. I don't think there's actually like a story or anything to the game. It's just literally the extreme sport of the future, and you just fly around on laser webs and a rocket jetpack, and what more do you need out of life, right?
I mean, I'm pretty happy. Just give me a snack and some beer.
And it's like $10 on Steam.
That's not
And
bad.
that's at full price.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
I sense a game review in our future.
Thank you. I'm willing to. Might have to do that soon.
All right. So mentioned in the lead. Do you want to get to the topic, or do you have anything else you want to bring up?
No, I'm ready to dive right in.
Let's dive in. So at BlizzCon this year, there was a rather momentous
Polarizing
polarizing reveal of the new Diablo game, and that is a mobile game called Diablo Infinite. And the entire internet, at least the entire portion of the Diablo fan base that is the internet, freaking exploded. Everyone was upset and angry, and some people chalked it up to just people on the internet, like gamers overreacting, over
being
yeah,
idle.
yeah, and let's be honest here. I don't think they're overreacting. What they wanted, and I'm speaking for myself mostly, what I wanted to see was a reveal of either a Diablo 2 remaster, Diablo 4, or some kind of new awesome content, maybe an expansion pack for Diablo 3. What I got was a mobile game. I don't want a mobile game. I don't want anything to do with a Diablo mobile game. If I want to play Diablo, I'll sit at my PC or PS4 or Xbox if I feel like picking up Diablo 3 on those consoles and actually play Diablo.
Yeah.
That feels like a slap in the face and feels like that Blizzard and Activision have gone completely tone deaf with what their players want to play. The prevailing theory being that they want to tap into the Chinese mobile market because it's so huge and booming and like everybody's playing over there and it's a ton of money to tap into. I get that. And honestly, if they had announced it anywhere but BlizzCon or had some sort of announcement for make it a partner announcement couched in Diablo 4, Diablo 3 content, or Diablo 2 remaster, I think it would have been fine. I think everybody would have been fine.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would have been upset.
The big thing that is interesting to me in all of it is that Blizzard, even before E3, or not E3, even before BlizzCon, said that they had multiple teams, 2 different teams working on Diablo games.
Yes. And it's possible that they are still working on Diablo games that aren't this.
Correct. They've said that they are. They're working on there is another Diablo game in the works.
Sure.
No one talked about that at all.
No, nothing at all.
Announcement. And I think that alone tells you that Blizzard did a terrible job getting that information out.
What I would have even been fine with, like, do you remember when Nintendo had their splash screen thing for Metroid?
Yes.
If they had just done that for a Diablo teaser, I'd have been okay.
Or Elder Scrolls Somerset or whatever.
Yeah. The Elder Scrolls splash screen bonanza.
Or Starfield or whatever. Yeah. Like if they had just
fine.
Done something,
if they'd just done that.
Imagine
just teased it.
Imagine if they'd given this mobile announcement, right? But then followed it up with just a Diablo 4 logo. Like people would have just lost their shit and they wouldn't have cared.
Yes.
They would have just been like,
no
cool,
one would have
game,
given
whatever.
a shit.
Yeah.
Or even if they led with the Diablo 4 thing and then said we're going to do a mobile game as well,
Yeah.
nobody would have lost their shit.
The other critique that I've heard is that if Blizzard had done it earlier in that not keynote, I guess, like
Yeah,
in that big batch of announcements, if it had just
and the
been
big
earlier
reveals.
and it hadn't been like the, oh yeah, one more thing.
It wasn't the bumper. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because that's what it was, is that they built up all this hype. They knew there was a ridiculous amount of hype about Diablo 4, because that's what everyone was
Yes.
expecting, Diablo 4.
Yeah.
And even though they said beforehand, like, we're not going to announce Diablo 4, but we have something Diablo related we're going to announce, no one cared.
No.
Like, everyone was expecting, like, oh, we're expecting Diablo 4 or our,
To remaster
remaster of
Diablo 2.
1 or 2. Yeah.
I would
And
love it with Diablo 1 remaster, but
like, they just, it sucks that they
took a
didn't.
big dump on their fans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it feels. I'm sure that that's
Yeah.
not how they feel that they're pushing the message out, but that's how it feels.
Right. And the part that made it really difficult was
The doubling down.
not necessarily the doubling down, but that's kind of funny. But no,
Okay.
the response. So there's the
Do you guys
two.
not have phones?
Yeah. Like, that has been like memed to
Yeah.
the end of time, and it should be like,
We'll include the original video in the show notes.
it's a ridiculous response.
It is
Um,
insipid.
but there were two really great fan comments, and you could tell one of them, like, the guy lied to the person
Yes.
before making his comment, which is because, there's a guy there screening people for what they're
Yes.
going to ask, and you could tell he said one thing and then, came up and said something else when he actually got to the microphone. But one of the guys asked if it was a really delayed, really out of season April Fool's joke, which was hilarious and got lots of people laughing in the audience.
Yeah.
And then the other really good one was the guy that asked, he, very, very nicely asked if they could expect that this game would come out for PC.
Yeah.
Or if it was going to be a strictly mobile release. And that's when you get this comment of, no, at this time, we have no plans to make it for PC. This is strictly going to be a mobile experience. And they got booed at BlizzCon at their biggest announcement of the year. So hardcore Blizzard fans spent hundreds of dollars to come to this event, and they get booed on stage. And that's when they respond with, don't you guys have phones? And
Yeah.
like, the part where this feels like they've lost touch with people is that, like, their core audience for Diablo doesn't want to play the game on a phone. They want to play a game on
No.
a computer.
Like I said.
They don't want to play their game on a tablet. They want to play their game with a keyboard and mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of them don't want to play it on their PlayStation or an Xbox or a Nintendo Switch. They want to play it with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
And, like, sure, people would probably enjoy a Diablo game for their phone, but not if it's going to be this drastically different from a Diablo game. Like, it's not.
So
it's basically, you run around with a controller and you hit buttons instead of, tap to do stuff, which is what I would expect from a Diablo style game on a mobile device. But apparently the only people that have thought to do that are an indie game studio, and I think the game is called Avernum, and it's a Diablo style game, and the graphics are not the greatest in the world because it's an indie studio, but it's a fun little game.
So to at least put a little history behind the guy who asked if it was very reasonably, if it was going to be ported to PC. He's apparently a huge contributor to the Reddit thread R Diablo. Like, he's like one of the people who moderates it. He was the one who created the original R Diablo. Just a huge amount of, like, this guy loves Diablo more than I love Overwatch. That's a lot of love. And to be just kind of sack tapped like that by one of the guys who created a game, the games that he loves, is just, it hurts. It's gonna hurt. So, fun side note: the reveal trailer for Diablo Immortal has been disliked as of this article 184,000 times at the time of publication, and the number has gone up. And they took it down 4 different times the weekend of the release of the trailer and uploaded it again and again and again, and it kept getting dislike bombed.
Yeah, basically as people realize that it's been done. The other thing that's been really interesting is that people try to keep saying that Blizzard's deleting comments, and they're not. Just the YouTube comment system is garbage, and
it is.
There's a really great one that Phil DeFranco did when he was talking about it, where he actually went through the comments on the post, and you could see the same guy. He goes like, "This has been deleted 14 times. You know, this is bullshit." And then like he scrolls down a little bit, and the same guy goes, "This has been deleted 13 times. This is BS."
Yeah.
Scroll down a little more. "This has been deleted 12 times." And he could find every single one of this guy's posts, and it didn't get deleted. It's just the algorithm wasn't putting it on top. It was just burying it. Because they're not in any kind of chronological order.
Yeah. Also, a good side note: if you want news that is completely unbiased, and I mean as unbiased as possible, and no slant, no political slant on it, just news. Phil DeFranco's channel is amazing.
Yeah.
I do have that's just a complete side note. I do have. I want to read this this Twitter thread by Mark Kern, who was a producer on Diablo 2. He hasn't worked on any other Blizzard games, but he's only worked on this one. This is the Twitter thread that I posted. You looked a little confused.
No, I was reading something weird.
Okay. Anyway, now this is all Mark's words. These are not my words. These are not Chop's words. So just take that with that particular thing in mind. Blizzard games are not smugly entitled, nor are they toxic, and they most certainly are not mad about a mobile version of Diablo because they hates the women's. The craziest blue check theory I've seen so far. Since I was producer on Diablo 2, a lot of people have been asking for my thoughts on the whole Diablo Immortal fiasco. I hate to say it, but what you're seeing is Blizzard not understanding gamers anymore. There's nothing wrong with having a mobile version of Diablo. In fact, I would have wanted one as an option. But the way it was hinted at and presented, and the failure of Blizzard management to predict the backlash caught me by surprise. Blizzard used to be really gamer-driven. Blizzard coyly played up the Diablo hype, which was a good move, but failed to anticipate their PC-based audience was their PC-based audience was going to expect, well, a PC-based announcement, and that following all that hype with a different product is a huge bait-and-switch feeling moment. Blizzard has said now that they are working on multiple Diablo projects. They really should have dropped a teaser for their PC-based project alongside their mobile announcement if that's the case. But what is really telling is that this really surprised them. They were expecting backlash, but they didn't have a plan for it. They didn't predict the wave. Any Diablo gamer could have simply told you what would happen if you'd asked. Blizzard never used to have to ask because it was made up of hardcore gamers from top to bottom. We used to say we were our own harshest audience for our games. I would have had a line of devs outside my door telling me this was a bad move. The fact that Blizzard was A, unprepared for this reaction, and B, had no plans to mitigate, even knowing some of it was coming, is a great disappointment to me. It smacks of, yeah, well, suck it down. Sorry, John Romero, this wasn't your fault. This isn't a toxic gamer issue. It's not an entitlement issue. It's just bad PR handling and a bad culture on the part of Blizzard, I'm sad to say. It's a culture that says we know better and fits right in with you think you do, but you don't. Maybe you don't know better anymore, Blizzard. Maybe you've really lost touch with gamers and you are now in some billion-dollar-a-year ivory tower. That needs some reflection on your part because that's how big businesses fail. Remember Nokia? Remember Blockbuster Video? Today's devs need to talk to gamers all the time. Game dev has gotten so big it's easy to lose touch. Many devs stop playing games as they start making them professionally. You need to make an effort to connect and tear down the corporate wall and get to know your audience. And I like how Blizzard isn't blaming their customers yet. But they say they are passionate. It's pretty good so far, but an apology and a PC reveal would be better. They are busy with BlizzCon winding down. This was posted on November 4th, by the way. But I hope to see a better response after all this. As for mainstream game journalists, they are blaming gamers. And so are a lot of know-nothing devs in mobile and indie. To them, I say, be prepared to lose a lot of your customers and money. because it's never right to blame your customers for your own PR blunders and learn nothing. And honestly, me talking again, I completely agree with just about all of that. I mean, I still haven't seen anything about a teaser for Diablo 4 or a Diablo remake or any of them. I haven't seen anything about that. And I honestly think that as much as I love Blizzard, as much as I love Overwatch, as much as I love their games, this is kind of messed up. And this is honestly the reason that we started working on this podcast today.
Yeah, this is the comment that sparked the idea for this particular topic, because it was the like, wow, that this seems to be a trend right now in the industry, which is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how to feel about it, because in some ways, Blizzard has been listening to their fans, because you have WoW Classic
Mm-hmm.
getting ready to come out, which people like, I've seen people play the, the little beta preview thing that they
Mm-hmm.
had from at BlizzCon, and
Yeah.
they love it. Like, it's like, oh my god, this brings back so many memories. This is
Yeah,
great.
this is vanilla WoW again.
Yeah, and like, that was something people wanted. You had pirate servers with 200,000 players.
Yeah. Yes.
And they listened, and apparently actually did a good job with it so far. We'll see what they do from here, but
I hope it's something great. But
yeah,
honestly, I've so far I haven't seen anything, any sort of like. There's been no backpedaling at all. Like this is a we're right and you're not moment. It feels like, and I
yeah.
wish it wasn't.
And to make things worse, with air quotes, um there was an interview that some of the Blizzard guys did shortly afterwards, and basically they said that Blizzard's business plan going forward has, quote, many of our best developers now working on new mobile titles across all of our IPs. So this isn't going to be the last. I mean, and I wouldn't expect it to be, because
It's
there
big money. It's
and
tons
one
of money.
well, it's not just that it's tons of money, is it's that so many people do play games now on their phone, and that is 9 times out of 10, when they have time to sit and play a game, they're going to pull their phone out,
Mm-hmm.
because it's there, it's easy, it's a matter of convenience. The biggest concern, I think, about a lot of the Diablo players, and just any players at all, when they hear, oh, they're going to make our favorite franchise into a mobile game, is that it's going to be a microtransaction fest, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the culture that has been built up around mobile games, is that it's free to play, and then they gouge you for money.
Yeah.
Like, there is a reason that Candy Crush Saga is one of the highest earning video games in the history of video games. Like, it is. It's
Yeah.
made millions and millions of dollars on a game that is 100% free, and you never have to pay a cent for,
Mm-hmm.
because they just get to these little tension points and pressure points where it's like, oh, well, you ran out of tries here for the day, or you could spend 99 cents and skip the level. And because if you aren't familiar with Candy Crush, for some crazy reason, about every 10 levels, there's a level where you only get like 1 or 2 tries a day at it, or you can spend 99 cents to skip it.
I actually have never played Candy Crush.
Yeah. But
Like I know the theory, I know the game. I've never played it.
yeah. And then there are levels that you'll get stuck on unless you pay a couple dollars for some power-ups. And
Yeah.
yeah. But there's a reason the game is still around, and there's actually 2 different Candy Crush games, I think, in the top paid apps for iOS for paid games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just absolutely ridiculous, like, that
It
how
makes
much
them a
money they, yeah.
ton of fucking money.
And
A ton.
yeah, and Blizzard will probably make a ridiculous amount of money off of this, and there will definitely be people who check it out and play it. Even the
Yeah.
diehard fans, they will probably check it out.
Yeah. Probably.
They, as soon as they hit that first paywall, they're going to stop, though.
Probably. I honestly have no intention of checking it out.
I want to see whether or not it's going to be good,
I just I
but
I don't like the control scheme on mobile. Like, do
yeah,
you remember the game that we were going to, like, that survival game that we were going to start a clan with? I
yeah,
stopped playing maybe a day after I mentioned that because I don't like the control scheme. It's not fun. It's not intuitive. It just doesn't
like
feel right to me.
last day on Earth, I think, or
Yeah,
something
I
like
think that
that.
was what it was called.
Yeah, but like we said, this is a trend in the
Hmm.
game industry that we've noticed lately, and I think the biggest one that I don't think we've had a chance to talk about this yet on the podcast. I don't remember. I we might
Some,
have,
like,
but
we addressed portions of it, but never actually, with our microtransactions episode. We
yeah.
addressed portions of that, but we haven't gone back to it after all of the fallout happened.
Yeah. So the first big one that was a huge red flag, I think, for the gaming industry was EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2, because it fans like literally very, very vocally said they're sick of the microtransactions. Like they're sick of this being bled out by these big companies for a game that they pay 60 plus dollars for. They don't want to nickel and dime microtransactions on these games.
Yep.
And to the point of like organized Twitter campaigns to let to inform Disney and harass Disney into like taking a look at what's going on, because I mean you're talking, random loot drops that affect whether or not you win a game on a Star Wars game that's basically marketed to kids like ish. Um, and so people were basically like, Disney, why is EA making a game that involves paid gambling for kids? And apparently the reason the whole system finally got unplugged was the fact that a Disney executive called up EA and was like, what is going on?
Hmm.
Why are we hearing about this? What is happening? And they were like, okay, we're gonna remove this feature for a little bit, and we'll see what happens. And then eventually they apparently went back to the progression system that Dice originally wanted to use for the game, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny. Um, and people were less unhappy with that. And now I think they've removed that progression system completely. Like there's no
Yeah.
microtransaction progression system anymore. And at this point, the damage is so beyond done to the game that
It's dead.
it doesn't matter. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I don't think it's dead, but it doesn't matter. Like, no
It
one
really
is going to go
doesn't.
back
Yeah.
to that game because there's so much other stuff to play now. Like,
It really is. Yeah. I think the quote was, let's see, EA temporarily removed the microtransactions from Battlefront 2 wholesale. And a representative of Lucasfilm told the Washington Post, Star Wars has always been about the fans, and whether it's Battlefront or any other Star Wars experience, they come first. That's why we support EA's decision to temporarily remove the in-game payments to address fan concerns. And I don't think they ever put them back in after that.
yeah, yeah, it was just a big,
A
giant,
shit
messy
show.
situation. But it does show that, like, I mean, there's definitely a problem uh in the gamer mindset of like, if I'm paying you full price for a game, it should not have like single player microtransactions we've gone off on before.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like
Well, single player
having
microtransactions are just dumb.
yeah,
They're just dumb, okay?
I think I can't remember if they pulled them all completely from Shadow of War, because that was another one that had like a
Oh,
big
yeah, that was a huge
microtransaction
to do.
controversy too. But it's just like, I mean, I get it. They're huge companies. They are literally beholden to their shareholders. Like the way these corporations work is if they do not do everything they can to make a profit, they can be sued by their shareholders
Hmm.
for not doing what's best for the business.
Yep.
Which is, it sounds really crazy, but that's what happens when you become a big publicly traded company.
Yeah.
Like your shareholders can sue you and force you to do things you don't want to do because they
They think it's
they
the right
are
thing
in
to do. Yeah.
they are in control basically. Like
Yeah.
they have the money, which is, it sounds absolutely nuts to, normal people, but
I
like that
mean,
is the way the business world operates, which is crazy. That's why you
it
see
is.
corporations doing all kinds of ridiculous stuff that doesn't make sense, because if they don't, they will their
It will be
own
sued.
shareholders will sue them, which,
Yeah.
also is just crazy. Um then you kind of have, I'm trying to think of some of the other games that have been popping up lately. Uh Black Ops 4, the most recent Call of Duty game, people are mad at right now because of the way their microtransaction structure works for loot, not really loot boxes, but whatever their
Yeah,
equivalent
the
is.
their battle
Um
royale mode here.
well, it's not even that. It's just the to play the game and unlock all the stuff that you could spend money on, it takes more than 200 hours to unlock all of it. And no, who 200 hours of a video game is, I mean, yeah, it happens. Like, people play Skyrim for more than 200 hours. People play
Sure.
Fallout for more than 200 hours, but
I
like,
mean, I have to have over 1,000 hours in Overwatch at this point.
yeah, but it's still, it's so such a crazy thing to expect of a casual player, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and the thing is like, they don't expect that of a casual player. Like, that's kind of the point of a lot of this stuff, is they're like, "Oh, well, you can buy this and it'll make it easier and you won't have to
Hmm.
spend all this time grinding. So if you just want to play and enjoy the game, you can spend a little bit of extra money." And it's just like, "Come on, man. That's that just seems ridiculous." Like, that
Yeah,
whole
absolutely.
prospect to me seems ridiculous, but what do I know, right?
I'm with you. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I know any more, but I'm 100% with you. That's insane to me.
Yeah. And then you get weird stuff that happens, like what is currently going on with Battlefield 5, which, by the time this comes out, will have already finished happening.
Yeah,
But so here's the way this works, right? So they have a staggered release of Battlefield 5 based on what version of the game you purchase, right?
yeah. Staggered releases are standard. Like they happen. Like
Yeah.
there's staggered releases, but for PS4 and play and Xbox games, etc. But
Yeah.
there's some weird stuff going on.
So if you buy the $60 retail version of Battlefield 5, you can play the game starting on November 20th.
Hmm.
That's whatever. Yeah, that is what it is.
Sure, makes sense.
If you pre-order the deluxe edition, so like the whatever the 90 or $100 version or whatever it ends up being for the weird collector's edition, you can start playing 5 days early on November 15th. Cool. Not a huge deal, whatever, right?
Yeah,
If you are an Origin Access Premier member, you get full access to the game on November 9th. You don't have to pay the $60 for the full game. You don't have to pay the ridiculous amount for the thing. As long as you're paying the Origin Access Premier monthly subscription, you get the entire game for free as part of that subscription. And you get to play like 2 weeks before people who bought the game. And to make things worse, it's not even a complete game. There's multiple, like, their battle royale game mode, not in the game.
hmm.
It'll be out sometime next year.
Huh.
And that's one of the things people are so mad about, is like, it's literally like they're releasing half a game.
Understandably
Yeah.
upset, I think.
The thing is, there's no DLC. All the post launch maps and game modes will be completely free.
Yeah,
But
you're only getting half the game.
Firestorm is going to be released sometime in spring of 2019, which is their battle royale.
Huh. Welp.
Yeah. Co-op also not available yet. It will be out sometime in 2019.
Which is kind of BS. Let's be honest here. Like, come on, dude. Really? Really?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I understand you have to do cool stuff for your Origin Access Premier people. But how are they playing the game a full almost 2 weeks before someone who goes out and purchases your game or pre-orders your game? Like,
I got nothing, dude. It's a weird tier system that seems completely unnecessary to me.
yeah, I mean, it's just, and the sad part is so much of the stuff is EA, and like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Battlefront 2, Battlefield 5.
Yeah,
That's half of our conversation so far.
Yeah, and the other thing that happened with Battlefield 5 was the whole huge controversy coming out of E3 where uh people were talking about like that they seemed like they were just trying to do the whole political correctness thing and injecting amputee women fighting against Nazis in World War II, while they were talking about like how they were it was like the most authentic World War II experience you could ever made, or
I thought
something
that was
like
Battlefield 1 that they were talking about.
no,
Because
that was Battlefield 5
huh.
that they talked about, like the most authentic experience, and like one of them had like literally a woman with an amputated arm, so she had like the little claw thing,
Yeah.
and she's like hip firing a like a full-on light machine gun and jumping out of windows and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, that's not an authentic World War II experience. And people are complaining about this and being like, why are you screwing up World War II, is basically what they said to him. And a guy who used to be one of the heads at DICE and who worked at EA basically was like, then just don't buy the game.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, he said like, if you don't like it, just don't buy the game. He
fucking tone deaf.
He also no longer works at EA anymore.
Gee, I wonder why.
He resigned a few months ago.
In shame.
But yeah, it's like they were literally telling their fans, don't complain about the game, just don't buy it. This game, we didn't make this game of a franchise you love for you.
And let's be honest,
don't buy the
that
game.
is the best advice you could ever give. Do you not want stuff like this to happen? Vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
Don't buy the game. Do exactly that, because this crap will stop happening if you stop buying it. If you stop buying it, like Pete said,
pre-order stuff.
Yeah, no, like Pete said, like Pete had said, if you want us to stop releasing Skyrim, stop buying Skyrim.
Yeah,
seriously, like he has a great point. Stop freaking buying it. If you don't want it, don't buy it. If you just want them to stop making these freaking games, stop buying them.
Yeah. And speaking of
E3. Oh, yeah. Shoot.
Speaking of Pete Hines, do you want to talk about Fallout 76?
Do I have to?
Because I think this is another example of a company not necessarily being in touch with their fans.
You know,
I will say this though. Apparently they announced that Fallout 76 is getting an FOV slider finally.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
And it will be added before the end of the year.
Okay. So I get it. So there's an argument on the internet that is posted as of a fan saying, I want more of the thing I fell in love with. I want more Fallout. The franchise says, okay, here's more of the thing. The fan says, well, you're just repeating the same stuff over that you did before. I want something new. Franchise owner says, okay, here's something different. I didn't say different. I said new. You changed the thing I love. You've ruined it. You said you wanted something new. But I didn't mean like that. I want more of the same. I gave you more of the same. But I didn't mean like that. I like the new thing. Heathen!
Yeah.
So the thing with that is, my problem with it, and this is the same argument that's seen posted every time a bad sequel is made, and I'm kind of reading a Reddit comment from Jackal King over on our Fallout, is that it requires willful naivete on the part of the franchise and the people upset at the outrage. Take this part, for example. I didn't say different, I said new. Now, this image frames it in a way that has you believe the fan is just being unreasonable and confusing. But his statement is a valid statement. You can want something new that is still faithful to what came before and isn't completely different. Take the other recent controversy in gaming, Diablo Immortal. Fans want a new Diablo. When they said that, they did not mean a mobile cash grab. They clearly meant something like Diablo 4, or more content for Diablo 3, or a remake of Diablo 2, etc. Only someone wants to intentionally frame the argument as unreasonable would make this seem like a confusing issue. So let's bring it back to Fallout. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself, and for what I have seen others say. When I said I wanted multiplayer Fallout, I always made it clear I wanted a co-op in a Fallout RPG. I've never been a fan of PvP survival crafting games. Even among the posts I have seen of people that wanted a survival crafting Fallout, those people still clearly wanted the world to have NPCs and quests and to more closely resemble the other Fallout games in terms of content. It's not unreasonable to make the statement that while Bethesda clearly gave people what could be called a multiplayer Fallout, it doesn't actually meet the expectations of what people wanted from a multiplayer Fallout. Yeah. So I find the whole thing to be a rather dishonest attempt at a circle jerk to upset fans. Like, I get it. It's I want a multiplayer Fallout too. Like, bring me Borderlands meets Fallout, and I would be happy.
One of the things people were almost expecting was Elder Scrolls Online, but for Fallout. And that honestly might have been better.
Maybe? And I'm not saying, again,
so here's the thing: this is again like you're saying, a multiplayer Fallout, great idea. I would love it.
Yeah, right. It sounds wonderful.
That's why I've been watching this game with a lot of interest. Is it's like what they were showing. It's like I don't think this is going to be pulled off well. I think we even talked about this with our E3 thing. Is like I'm skeptical.
Yeah, we were.
I want to see what they do. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of things that like I need to see how they handle this. And from what I've seen so far, I'm not interested. And
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think neither of us have played it. We've only seen what we've seen on the internet with people reviewing it and people we trust reviewing it. I'm not interested either, but that doesn't mean it's not a good game.
Correct.
Like it could very well be an amazing experience, but neither of us have played it yet. Yeah. But from what we've seen, it doesn't look great.
The people that I have gone out of my way to see talk about both the beta and now the live game are people that, like, one of them is this guy Henry, who goes by the name MXR, and he started life as a Skyrim mod reviewer. And then when Fallout 4 came out, he started doing Fallout 4 mod reviews. And he's done a weekly Fallout 4 mod review since Fallout 4 was released.
That's not hard to do. There's so many.
Yeah. He's also done a weekly, it hasn't always been weekly lately, Skyrim mod review since Skyrim was released like 5+ years ago or whenever it was.
Again, not super hard considering the volume.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of content is what we're trying to say here.
But he's played a crap load of Fallout, and he playing the beta was like, he really wanted to love the game. He wanted to do it. He's playing it like a Fallout game, and he's just like, I'm going to show you. And he showed like uncut. This is the most interesting thing I have found and done in the Fallout 76 beta. I'm going to present it to you. Take it for what it is. And like, you watch it, and he finds I think the uncanny caverns or something like that, and he goes through it, and he's just like, it's boring. Like, he goes through, he does some stuff, he like, picks a cash register, opens up a safe, hacks a little terminal, shoots some things, he goes underground. And like, there's this mythology around the cavern of like, there's this, it's the home of this crazy monster, and urban folklore legend monster lived here. And he's like, so he's expecting the whole time, like, oh cool, so I'm gonna run into this crazy bat monster thing. And like he gets to the end of it and no, just weird irradiated moles or whatever they were. Like, just, whatever. It was just there. And he got to listen to a bunch of holotapes. So, got to get read an audiobook to him. And he was just like, yeah, if this is what the game is going to be, just me running around listening to holotapes, like, I don't think it's going to be very fun. And that's half the game. Half the game is going out exploring and gathering materials to theoretically then come back and build your base or whatever. But like
camp, as it's called.
Half the game is going out and exploring the wilderness, and if that part isn't fun,
what's the point?
Yeah. And one of my concerns about the game personally is the social aspect. So one of the things that I would play this game for is to run around and have fun with my friends. But I also know that like the times that I'm allowed to play the game or would be able to play the game, most of my friends are asleep.
Yeah. I mean, we can't play very often because I'm asleep by the time you're able to start streaming.
Yeah. And like, so I'd be playing by myself, and playing solo seems like the worst possible way to play this game because like it's a quasi sandbox game that is really shallow and doesn't have a whole lot to do, unfortunately, which kind of sucks.
It does. It does. It just seems like it's from what I remember hearing about the game, it seems like it's a wholly empty experience.
Yeah.
And it's not just boring, it's empty.
Yeah, and people
lifeless.
do say that you feel really isolated running around most of the time because like you rarely run into a player unless something crazy is going on. And there basically are no NPCs that aren't dead or robots.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of the quests are the same. The quests are like, go find Jimmy up at the local Red Rocket, and you go to the Red Rocket and Jimmy's dead and there's a holotape laying next to him, and you pick up the holotape and you play it, and Jimmy's like, oh, well, actually I gave that thing to Jim Bob down at the...
So it's a fetch quest.
Yeah.
The entire thing is a fetch quest.
Yeah. But no one's alive. Like there's no one to talk to. So you go to the next person and it's a corpse with a holotape laying next to it, a conveniently recorded holotape laying right next to it. And it's just one after another. And that, or you're just sifting through journal entries on a terminal, hoping that a monster doesn't come in and kill you while you're faffing around on the terminal because it doesn't pause anything like it used to.
Because it's a multiplayer game and it can't do that.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like there's stuff that needs to be addressed. And I know they're planning to address it because Pete Hines has basically said that they will be forever supporting this game until people are no longer playing it.
And that seems fantastic. I love that idea. Why didn't you take user feedback into account before release?
Yeah.
That is my only complaint.
Yeah. And that's part of the issue is that people are like, oh, well, this is just a beta. It'll be, this is an early version of the game. It'll be fixed. It's like, dude,
it is 9 days from release. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's being released in less than a month. The game is not going to be drastically different.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, this is the release version of the game. They're stress testing servers and making sure nothing crazy catastrophic happens when it's released to the wide world of hardware, so they can, hammer out some last minute attempted bug fixes so it's only as buggy as their normal single player games.
All right. I'm sorry, Pete. I had to take you to task a little bit. There's one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up.
All right.
Did you have anything else to add?
Nope. Again, like I want to see where the game goes because I think they're gonna address the problems over time. I just think it's going to take years to address some of the problems. Like they're talking about like, oh yeah, we're going to eventually have private servers. We're eventually going to have user made mods. But that's like a year plus away from now. It's not even anywhere near the top of what they're working on.
And the big problem with that is, what happens if people stop playing it before then? Are they going to stop supporting it? Because
Yeah.
that is straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Yeah.
We're going to keep supporting it as long as people keep playing it. Well, if people stop playing it, then people who enjoy the game are up Poops Creek.
Yeah.
All right. One more thing, and then we're going to probably wrap up, unless you've got some other stuff to chat about. What the hell, Sony? What the hell? You're just not going to go to E3, the biggest conference I mean, it's going to make our workload a little lighter. I'm okay with that, but what the hell?
Yeah. So news came out. It's either today or yesterday. That Sony is planning to just not attend E3, and my joke at the time was like, yeah, they're gonna set up across the street and have their own conference, and they're gonna call it the Sony Software Social, or something like that. Um, there's another word I used for it. I don't remember, but anyway,
I don't remember either.
The S3 conference, and they're gonna have blackjack and hookers. Because
in fact, forget the conference.
Yeah. Because that's what they've basically been doing. They rent out a place across the street from E3, and that's where they hold their kind of primary press conference.
Yeah.
But they also apparently have one of the largest booth presences on the show floor of E3.
Yes.
And that's no longer going to be there. And apparently they're also saying that like they're literally not going to hold a press conference that weekend. Like they're not going to be participating at all, which is like, okay, that's different. Like that's you're not doing what we expect. Like, because I would expect like, okay, yeah, E3 is going on at this expo. We're just gonna have the Sony fan event. It's just gonna be over here. We're not gonna be at E3. We're gonna do our own thing. It's open to the public. People can come in and do whatever. They can come check out all of our games. They don't need an E3 ticket. They can come get a Sony ticket, right? Like just totally separate from E3, which I actually think would be really smart, because like there are people that would skip E3 and just go to the Sony event.
Absolutely. There's tons of diehard Sony fans that don't care about Xbox or Nintendo or any of the other companies. They just want to see what Sony has to offer.
Especially if the ticket is cheaper than E3.
Absolutely. And an E3 ticket is expensive as heck.
Yeah. But I want to know what they're going to do instead of this, because they've got to have some way to make a big announcement about the games that are going to come out later in the year and are
like
upcoming.
They still need to talk about that. I honestly have forgotten the name already, because it's been 2 years running that it's been at E3 and still hasn't come out yet. That biker game with the zombies. You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember the last Days or something like that? Days Gone? I think it's Days Gone. That's it.
Yeah, it's
finally remembered it. Thanks.
Yeah, it got postponed again, I think.
What?
Yeah.
That is all I have to say.
Yeah, and Death Stranding is another one people are planning, like, want to hear more about.
Yeah,
but it's they're gonna have to do something. Like E3 was a good vehicle because it's the whole industry is going to be talking about everything that gets talked about that weekend.
Yes.
So it was just like, it was a convenient, hey, if we just throw all of our stuff out right now, it will get picked up and everything will just keep going like it always does. So I'm wondering what they're going to do instead. Are they going to do an event the week beforehand? Kind of like what they did this past year, where they did a countdown to E3, where they released new game trailers and stuff every day leading up to it. Like, are they going to just, hey, we'll wait a couple of weeks and then we'll do our own big thing, and that way we have all of the attention to ourselves? Like, I'm curious as to what their plan is from here, and if they even plan to do anything, because they may not. They may just say like, yeah, we're not going to spend that much money. Like, there's no reason to.
And the reason we bring this up is that, again, all of this is wondering if companies have lost touch with their player base.
Yeah.
Is this Sony losing touch with us?
Yeah. How are fans how is Sony going to connect fans with the games that they're going to want to play?
Yeah.
Like how are gamers going to find new games that they're interested in? Like Zero Dawn is a great example of this. I think it's Zero Dawn, right? Like
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn, yeah. Like that was one of the best received original IPs in forever.
It is an incredible game. Having played it myself, it is fantastic.
But none of us would have like that game would not have been anywhere nearly as well received if it hadn't been just blown up at E3.
Yeah.
And it did. It blew up at
It
E3.
exploded.
The crazy robot dinosaur game. Like that's what people remembered from that E3, or it's one of the things they remember. Like, so like how that's my question. If Sony is not going to be at E3, how is it going to benefit their fans and the gamers that support Sony for them not to be at E3? Like that is the question at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How is this better for their customers and the gamers? And what are they going to do to ensure that it is better for their customers and their gamers? If they even are. I don't know.
I got nothing, dude. Yeah. I don't know what they're thinking. It seems like such a weird, bad move on the surface. But again, with those proposed ideas, it could be a very good move. I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's I don't know with a lot of this stuff. I mean, we'll have to wait. Well, as always, we'll have to wait and see, right?
Yeah, pretty much. All right, folks. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at podcast@loadedcartgaming.com. That is an email that goes to both of us. If you want to get in touch with me, I am at Paul Klewell on Twitter. That is PaulClewell on Twitter. Dan runs the @LoadedCart account and his own @ChopTheViking. If you want to see me, check me out, play some Overwatch. I'm every night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/what's Paul playing today. Chop is able to play Destiny usually on Monday nights and Saturday and Friday nights, except for tonight. Sorry about that.
Nope. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Monday, Wednesday, Saturday from 10 p.m. until he gets tired. It is twitch.tv/ChopTheViking. And if you want to find us on any of the other social media and Facebook, all the other fun stuff, the links are in the show notes at loadedcartgaming.com. And if you love us, consider leaving a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening to us. It really does help us find other people it helps other people find the show because honestly, we don't pay to advertise at the moment. And it's the biggest thing you can do to really help us. And we haven't turned it back on yet, but our Patreon is still at least available to take a look at. It is at patreon.com/loadedcartgaming. Thank you guys so much for listening. You got anything else to talk to the audience about?
Nope. I think we've talked a lot.
Yeah, it's been a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It's been a while. All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. And here is some smooth jazz to play you out.
Oh. Hi. What are you doing here? I know. You're here hoping there's going to be some kind of outtakes. Well, unfortunately, Paul and I were on our game this week when we recorded this episode, so there aren't any outtakes. So, better luck next episode, and I'll see you then. Bye!